On February 17, 2025, the Union Pacific unveiled its newest commemorative locomotive. Number 1616 is an engine that was painted red, brown, and black to commemorate the presidency of Abraham Lincoln. The UP debuted it on Lincoln's 216th birthday. The president was instrumental in kicking off the beginnings of the Transcontinental Railroad, an idea that would fully connect the two coasts. In 1862, he signed the Pacific Railway Act, leading to the creation of the Union Pacific. The colors of the engine are the same as the UP engine that met the Central Pacific at Promontory Point, Utah in 1869, connecting the Great Transcontinental Railroad project. Not to be outdone by the Union Pacific and their UP 1616 paint scheme in honor of President Abraham Lincoln, the CSX and Wheeling and Lake Erie feature two heritage paint schemes for a couple of their locomotives as well. The CSX 1776 features a green camo pattern in honor of the armed forces, and it's named the Spirit of our Armed Forces. It was debuted in 2019. The Wheeling and Lake Erie engine 1776 will debut in July or August as the finishing touches are being added. The Wheeling locomotive is a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States, which will occur on July 4th, 2026. The 210-4 steam-powered Selkirk. These unusual locomotives had 3 production runs over 3 decades, producing 36 total that saw the rails. They were produced by Montreal Locomotive Works. 16 of the Selkirks leaned into the early streamlined designs of other Canadian locomotives, notably the Jubilees and the Royal Hudsons. Some of them featured a red, gray, and black paint scheme. The Selkirk is affectionately called Canada's Big Boy. However, as technology progressed, the Selkirks were retired in the 1950s as steam engines began to make way for diesel-powered engines. Unfortunately, 34 were scrapped, while 2 remain in museums on static display. In 1937, Baldwin Locomotive Works began producing 6 464 Super Hudson-type locomotives. They would be in service between La Junta, Colorado and Chicago, Illinois for the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway. The first one produced was painted sky blue and received the nickname the Blue Goose. In 1937, one of the new Santa Fe locomotives, number 3461, set a world record for the longest continuous run without maintenance by a steam engine. It traveled from Los Angeles to Chicago, a distance of 2,227 miles, only making 5 refueling stops and hitting a top speed of 90 miles per hour. This line of locomotives, especially number 3460, was featured prominently in Santa Fe's marketing because of its unique color scheme. Sadly, as we see with a lot of these large classic engines, they eventually get retired due to cost and new technology development. One is still on display in Topeka, Kansas, and the other 5 were unfortunately scrapped. One of the most famous locomotives in the world is the British Tornado. It is a modern steam locomotive built by the A1 Steam Locomotive Trust. From 1994 to 2008, the steam engine was built, and she was modeled off a group of locomotives built in the late 1940s known as Peppercorn A1s. They featured a 462 wheel alignment. Unfortunately, by the 1960s, all of the 49 A1s were scrapped. The most spectacular achievement of this steam engine was to hit 100 miles per hour in 2017 during weight trials. She has pulled Royal trains as well as other steam engines while on tour through the UK. She has also been featured in movies such as Paddington 2, as well as many other shows and documentaries. The Tornado is truly one of the finest and best known modern railroad restorations in existence. If you were to think of a steam engine that exemplified the early days of railroading in America, it would likely be the William Mason 440. Mason Machine Works began production on this beautiful engine after the B&O Railroad exploded from just 13 miles to 411 miles, beginning in 1856. One of the major emphasis of the team was that the engine was functional, but also had to have a certain Victorian-era beauty about it as well. The most famous of these locomotives is number 25, which is on static display at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Museum. What makes this specific locomotive legendary, it is believed to be the locomotive that in 1861 safely ferried newly elected President Abraham Lincoln into Washington, D.C. from Baltimore, Maryland. If you go back and watch any old Western, any scene with a locomotive is likely to have a design similar to the 440. They are truly an American railroading legend. The Schwerer Gustav railgun was developed in 1937 and was one of 3 large railguns developed by the Germans. This Gustav cannon itself was 155 feet long with a barrel length of 106 feet. With an effective range of around 25 miles, the cannon could be situated away from the front lines to deal damage. There were a few major issues that hindered this effectiveness though. It could fire only 1 round every 45 minutes. The logistics of laying railroad lines and moving the piece were very challenging. Also, when it was first used in combat at the Battle of Sevastopol in 1942, it took about 500 soldiers to operate. Unfortunately, over the course of the 6-week battle, the gun's barrel was damaged after 47 rounds it fired. However, those 47 shells made their impact and destroyed vital Soviet defenses. After Sevastopol, it was dismantled and moved towards Leningrad and was operational when a planned attack was called off. The gun was destroyed by the Germans in April of 1945. From 1931 to 1952, the Galloping Goose fleet of motor cars for the Rio Grande Southern traversed the narrow-gauge railways of southwest Colorado. The 7 geese, as they were affectionately called, were pulled together with various train parts and other car parts. They were self-propelled rail cars and did not require a larger engine to pull them, and specialized in mail delivery and did some passenger service. They were called geese because they would seem to waddle along the railways. 6 of the 7 original geese remain in museums. One was rebuilt as a replica, so technically all 7 are still in existence. 3 of which are at the Colorado Railroad Museum, 1 is at Knott's Berry Farm, 1 is at the Ridgeway Railroad Museum, and the last one is with the Dolores Rotary Club. Their 21-year legacy is a true demonstration of industrious ingenuity. Central Hudson 464. This locomotive was built by the American Locomotive Company and featured 3 different variants, being built between 1927 and 1938. Streamlining locomotives were becoming a big trend in railroading in the 30s. My favorite streamlined Hudson was the J3A variant, which was outfitted for the 1939 New York World's Fair. From a workhorse perspective, the Hudsons were known for the speed and power combination, hitting a top speed of about 120 miles per hour. Several Midwestern and Northeastern railroad companies purchased these engines for their fleets, and they were used from the late 20s until being retired in the late 1950s. Thank you for watching this video from Everything Has History. If you enjoy my content, give me a like, subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. It really helps viewers find the channel. Thanks again, and check out these videos that are popping up on your screen right now.